And welcome to another video. I'm Simply G, and today I'm going to be showing off all of the anime that I got for this month of August. That's what month we're in. Quite a bit. Some namely Japanese releases, some of which have subtitles, some which don't. There's a couple Korean films in here as well, so not technically anime, but I would suspect that people are still somewhat interested. And rather than spend too long on this intro, I'll get straight into it, and I hope you guys enjoy. First up, we have the soundtrack to Chihayafuru Season 2. I got this via auction. Still sealed and everything, haven't opened it as of yet, but there's actually not a huge amount of variation track-wise compared to the previous albums from the first season. There's a lot of musical crossover over the the 3 seasons, so shorter track list than the previous but still really happy to have this in the collection to finish up my Chihayafuru music collection, basically. Of finishing collections, I finally got the 6th and 7th single of Free Eternal Summer. These are the Japanese Blu-ray editions, no subtitles, anything on them, which has been the case across the board for these releases. But I've had 1 to 5 for ages, and it comes with all of the postcards and booklets and such, the extra web drama radio CD, as well as the disc itself. And I mean, this is purely just excess for me as a fan. I've had the entirety of the first season in Japanese singles for a long time, I have had also the 1st to 5th of Eternal Summer for years and years and years, like before the 3rd season was even ever imagined. I bought a lot of them actually in my trip to Japan many years ago, back in 2015. So if that gives you an indication, it's been a long time, a very long time since I've been sitting on this series in its incomplete form. Obviously, I have the US releases, limited edition releases of this series. It is one of my favorites. I love it a whole bunch. It's not perfect. I've never claimed it to be so, but I love all these dumb kids. They're great, and fortunately for me, it is a franchise that has continued up until this point. The trailer for the most recent movie's just been released. And so that, along with its sequel film, will be the end of the Free franchise. What a journey. Since 2013, it's been a long time. But yeah, happy to have these. They're not really like must-haves or anything like that for 99% of people, but it is always nice to pick up these for very, very cheaply in secondhand auctions and things like that. Just so I can have them, basically. Something that I got from Monogatari, and I got this for a really cheap price because the storage boxes that came with all of the singles, for all of the physical extras, weren't included. So that's seen as a flaw for Monogatari, and so they really decreased the price. I don't care about that sort of stuff, so I jumped on it, and this is the Blu-ray box set, or singles and box, for Yuri On Ice. Ever since this show came out and this release has been out, I've coveted this beautiful Japanese release, and I'd thought about buying it several times over the years. Even in the secondhand market, it still goes for pretty good amount, but recently I've seen these completed box sets for cheaper and cheaper, and I finally found this, as well as the Yuri on Stage, which is like the stage show or stage drama stage event on disc. And that has come with its extra box here, which was like a weird little light up Mokachin clip thing. And so for all of the extras that I got, which were included, but just loose from this box set, I put into the storage here so that they can be stored together and not get lost. So yeah, I mean, another favorite series of mine, another one that's purely me buying it for no other reason than I'm a big fan. I've wanted it for a long time. There's a couple series that I adore, so I don't mind having the Japanese version. It's always great when it does include subtitles and such, but again, I have the US limited edition release of this, so it's not like I don't have a copy that I don't understand or anything. But it is just really nice to have the fancier Japanese edition. So along with, Free, I've also gotten Saratama in the past. I have one of the singles for Fullmetal Brotherhood with the limited box. I have the Japanese Chaifuru first season box, first single, and the box that it came with. I have Wandering Sun. I have quite a few, actually, now I think about it. But namely for series that I really, really love, and typically have a version of already in English, or that is English friendly. And I don't mind double dipping, purely for the, me as a fan and a collector. These releases, and this is another Monogatari order. This is the box set of Ghost Hound, the complete Blu-ray box set. You might not necessarily be able to tell from just this, but it is quite sun faded, which is actually not a big deal in my opinion. This has the dub and the subtitles. Ghost Hound is a really interesting little supernatural mystery, I guess. It was also PA Works' 10th anniversary project. It was released in English by Sentai many, many years ago. It is disgustingly out of print, and has been for a long time. I do, have the Sentai release, although the subtitles and the dub on this are identical. And so I decided that I would get this release and I would gift my Sentai release to my sister, who is a huge fan of the series. She doesn't have her own copy. So that's what I decided to do. But yeah, this is a really interesting, I like it a lot. I think it's one that people who enjoy like creepy mystery, with a horror aspect to it. The whole point is that these kids are trying to figure out the disappearance of someone that they know, and it seems that the town isn't necessarily that interested in figuring out what's happened. It's really, really good. Really good, actually. And then, so yeah, I would encourage people to try it, although, as I said, the English, like the US release, has been out of print for a long time. The Australian release has been out of print for a long time. I'm not sure about how easy it is to find the Japanese release. Like this particular release, I was lucky that I was able to find it, again, for a discounted price, because it does have some pretty extensive damage with the sun bleaching from Mandarake. Typically on like Yahoo auctions and things, you're looking at closer to $300-ish for this set. But in saying that, that is kind of less than what the US out of print prices are going for currently, which is just ridiculous anyway. Don't ever, pay those for scalper prices. It's not worth it. But if you are desperate, if you don't mind paying Japanese prices, this might be one to hunt down for yourself. We have the Korean films that I mentioned at the very beginning. And both of these are US releases from one particular publisher. I think it's their only animated films that they've ever released. And that is The King of Pigs and The Fake, which are both films by Yoon Sang-ho, who is the director of Train to Busan. And so if you are a fan of that, you may be a fan of this. Both of them are pretty pretty upfront portrayals of about class inequality and the harshness of life and the breakdown of society. The King of Pigs is about school bullying and childhood bullying. The Fake is about a fake priest who has been committing fraud in a small town. And so it really is, like with his other films, really putting a microscope to the faults and flaws within Korean society, and, very, no, I wouldn't say a nihilistic look at them, but these are not happy stories. These are not happy films. Just like how Train to Busan isn't a happy film either. Both very good. Both sort of those films that were animated but not inherently, like, these aren't stories that inherently have a lot of need to be animated. That sounds really bad, and I don't mean to devalue animation, but when I say that, it's more so like these could have been live action films. It doesn't have like a lot of high fantasy or like things that would be complicated or pricey to make if live action, compared to some other stuff that we typically see coming out of animation. But it is really nice to see some adult grounded animated films coming from Korea. I will also say these are both like The King of Pigs is this director's debut, and The Fake is his second film. So these are his two very first films. As such, fans of his might not find them up to the same polish necessarily as like Train to Busan, but I did think these were some great films regardless. Check them out if you're interested. They are, both of these are Region A releases and have been released by Olive Films, I think is this particular distributor. I don't think they're even around anymore necessarily. They typically don't release a lot of stuff like this, and they had or started, I guess, a sub-label to release animated films, and these are the only two that ever came out, like back in 2014, 16. So I don't think that was very successful for them, unfortunately. But happy to have these. Happy to personally have gotten these too. Another Region A release, although I did buy this locally from an eBay seller, someone who I've purchased from before, and this is Sentai's standard release of Chihayafuru Season 3, the third and most recent adaptation of this manga, a series that I'm a huge fan of. Long-time followers of the channel know I've always been a very big fan of Chihayafuru prior to me even starting this channel. It's a series very near and dear to my heart, and one that I'm excessively happy we keep seeing get released from Sentai. As of now, the limited edition of the third season has yet to be released by Sentai, but when that happens, I'll be getting it because I'm a fan and that's what I do. So yeah, happy to have finally gotten this. I've watched this when it was airing. Yeah, more of the same. Fantastic, phenomenal. This is a josei sports series about a bunch of high school kids who play karota, which is a traditional card game sport in Japan, which uses the 100 poems in sort of like a competitive snap tournament, maybe. It's hard to quite describe, and it's not one that is really I feel like when you explain it, it's hard to get people to watch it or encourage people to watch it, but really it's one of the better sports series that I've seen, and that's even taking into account all of the wonderful sports series that we've been seeing being released. This, along with like Yuri on Ice, along with Haikyuu, along with Run with the Wind, even with like Free, are definitely some of my favorites. And Chihaya is a fantastic character. Arata and Taichi, who are these two here, are great. Really, the whole cast of characters is fantastic. All of their personal goals, their personal like relationships with each other and with other people in their community, their ambitions, their struggles. It's fantastic to watch. But yeah, Chihaya, I really hope we see season 4 someday. All in good time. Because the manga seems to be wrapping up soonish, and I'd like to see a complete adaptation of the series at some point. That would just make me so happy. But yeah, Chihaya season 3. We have one UK release, and that is the MVM edition of Zoku Owari Monogatari, which is the final piece of the Monogatari franchise that has been released animated. So as of now, it means that my Monogatari collection is completely finished, completely up to date. Monogatari, i.e. Bakemonogatari, Nisei Monogatari, Kizu Monogatari, Neko Monogatari, Monogatari second season, Zoku Owari, or Owari Monogatari, Zoku Owari Monogatari, Koyomi Monogatari, etc., is a hugely spanning franchise. The first season, I think, came out in 2011-ish, with Bakemonogatari. And it really set, I think, people's interests aflame. It was and has stayed a hugely popular series. It's the anime adaptation of the Nisei Oisin novels of the same name. Definitely one of the series that put his name into like popular awareness, and really exploded his career. He was already very popular as a novelist in Japan, thanks to Katana Monogatari, thanks to some of his other, I can't even remember what it is called now, the cycle one. I want to say Dekoboku. That's not the right word. Which is sad because I have read this. And also, like, just his many other things that he's done since then. But this is really the one that got people interested. It's also the series that really exploded Shaft's career for a while. It basically set their house style, as well as, again, exploding director Shimbo's career. This, when people say like, oh, that's a Shaft anime, i.e. it has like the excessive head tiltings and the super close cut zoom-ins, things like that. This is the series that kind of started that, and made it popular, and it makes sense for this series because, like with most of Nisio Isen's works, it's just typically a bunch of people talking to each other and not much else. So you have to make things a bit more visually interesting when you're watching them. But yeah, end of a era, maybe. Not really. There's still other novels, spin-off novels, and a spin-off series that Nisio Isen has been writing for this franchise. So it is, although it's the end, it's not actually the end. And whether you love or hate the Monogatari franchise, it's certainly a mainstay. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I do really have a fond spot for the series. I like majority of the characters. I think it's a great time. I like the supernatural elements to it. And Nisio Isen, for as much as I gripe about how clever his writing is, I do think is a very talented author. And it is really great whenever we do get more of the series. So, yeah. Zoku Owari Monogatari, the final piece of the Monogatari franchise, finally in my collection. Thing that I got anime wise for this month of August, quite a bit of variety, I think. Quite a few Japanese releases, some that are things that I can definitely watch, some that are just there or that I have because I'm just a crazy super fan who wants them, and hopefully some things that you guys may be interested in. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, opinions on any of the titles that I talked about today or got for this month. Anything that you've been watching or wanting to share, let me know as well. As always, in the description below will be the link to my Twitter, if you're wanting to follow me on there. And you should also find the most recent episode of the podcast that I co-host, Read Right to Left, on this channel, as well as on every podcasting platform. This month's topic was music manga, and we had a pretty great discussion, I think. So, check it out if you're interested in it. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next video, guys. Stay safe, stay happy, healthy, look after each other, be kind, and catch you in the next video, guys. Bye till then.